Hey everyone, today we're going to dive into a challenge that, let's be honest, pretty much everyone faces, turning that messy day-to-day work chaos into something that's actually streamlined, efficient, and, a lot less stressful. We're going to map out a practical guide for mastering your business workflows. It's all about turning that chaos into control. Let's get started. Just for a second, really picture that, a world where work just flows. No more of those frantic, hey, what's the status on this emails? No more tasks getting dropped or lost in the shuffle. Everybody knows exactly what they need to do next. It's the dream, right? That's perfect operational harmony. Yeah, but for most of us, that dream can feel a long, long way off. The reality is usually a lot closer to pure chaos. Important steps get missed, tasks fall right through the cracks, and there's just this constant feeling of confusion that wastes so much time and leaves everyone feeling frustrated. But here's the really good news. There is a clear path out of that chaos and into a state of real control and clarity. And that's the journey that we are kicking off right now. Okay, first things first. Before we can start fixing things, we have to be speaking the same language. You've probably heard the words workflow and process thrown around like they're the same thing, but they're not. And understanding that little difference, well, it unlocks everything. So think of it like this. A process is the big picture, the entire journey. Like, say, onboarding a new customer. The workflow, on the other hand, is the specific step-by-step recipe you follow to get there. It's the create their account, then send the welcome email, then schedule a training call. The workflow is the tactical how you do it inside the strategic what you're trying to achieve. Which brings us here. A business process workflow is basically the map for your team. It is the official, structured guide that shows everyone exactly how to get from point A to point B for any given task. It takes all the guesswork out of the equation and just gives you a clear, repeatable path to follow. And you know what's great? Every single workflow map, no matter how complex it seems, is built from just 3 simple things. You've got activities, that's the actual work that gets done. You've got decisions, those are the if this, then that moments. And you've got transitions. Those are just the arrows that connect everything and show which way the work flows. That's it. With just those 3 building blocks, you can map out anything. All right, so now we know what a workflow is made of, but how do we actually capture the ones that are already running, or maybe stumbling, through our businesses right now? Let's get into the practical side, the how-to of building our map. Documenting this stuff really doesn't need to be a huge headache. It basically boils down to these 6 steps. First, just decide exactly what you're mapping. Then, list out every single step in the right order. Pick a format that people will actually use. Visual diagrams are usually a big win here. Keep the language simple and clear. And really important, accept that it's going to change over time. Finally, and this is crucial, make sure the whole team knows where to find it. Now I get it. This might sound like a lot of extra work. You might be thinking, hey, we're getting by just fine. Why is drawing a bunch of boxes and arrows so important? Well, it's because you can't fix what you can't see. And this story just nails the point home. A company was literally flying paper invoices around the country using FedEx just to get a signature for approval. It sounds completely bonkers now, but they didn't realize how wildly inefficient it was until they mapped it out. The moment they saw the whole journey laid out visually, that absurd bottleneck was just staring them in the face. And the solution, automation, became totally obvious. Mapping shines a giant spotlight on those hidden problems. You know, what's so cool about this slide is that it shows this old school interface from an Oracle system. And even way back then, the core idea was exactly the same. You need a visual way to see the steps, the people involved, and the rules of the game if you want to get any control over a process. Yeah, the tools are a lot slicker now, but the fundamental principle, it hasn't changed a bit. Okay, so you've done the work, you've mapped your workflow, you've even made a few changes you think are improvements. But how do you know if you actually made things better? For that, you're going to need a compass. You're going to need metrics. This right here is the million-dollar question, isn't it? We're not just making changes for the sake of it. We need to be able to measure the impact. How do we prove that our new, controlled workflow is actually performing better than the old, chaotic one? Look, you don't need to track 100 different things. Just think of it like a health check with 4 vital signs. Duration, how long does the whole thing take, start to finish? Success rate, what percentage of the time does it complete perfectly? Error rate, how often does it fail or need someone to jump in and fix it? And throughput, how many can you get done in a day or a week? These 4 numbers, together, they tell you the real story of how your workflow is performing. And if you remember one thing from this section, let it be this: don't get obsessed with speed right away. A workflow that's super fast but fails half the time is actually worse than one that's a little slower but works every single time. Get it to be reliable first. Focus on that success rate and error rate. Once you've built that solid, dependable foundation, then you can start trying to make it faster. So we've covered the what, the how, and the why. But the tools we have to do all this are evolving at a crazy pace. So let's take a peek at what's coming next. You could almost call it your workflow superhero. And that superhero is AI. Seriously, imagine a tool that doesn't just help you draw the map, but it intelligently creates the map for you, just by watching how your team works. Imagine an AI that can pull key information out of documents and emails like a ninja, so no more tedious data entry. It could even keep your workflow documentation perfectly up to date in real time as things change. This isn't science fiction anymore. This stuff is happening right now. So at the end of the day, moving from chaos to control isn't about some magic piece of software. It's a journey of understanding, mapping, measuring, and then improving. You now have the fundamental concepts, you have the map to start your own escape from that chaos. So the only question left is, are you ready to take that first step?